Hello everybody, this is Runaway as always. I need to do makeup tonight. Not just because I really want to do makeup and it's been a while since I did makeup, but also just because it's one of my homework assignments from my individual therapist is to do a hobby at least once a week, and I've been slacking. So we are going to do a makeup look. And then after I finish doing makeup, I'm going to do a dishes live stream. My cat, not you, the other one. My cat, Cookies, just absolutely trolled me. For context, my doorbell is one of those knockoff Wi-Fi capable doorbells from some Chinese brand that I got from like Amazon or something. And I had so much trouble getting it to work through my phone and through the device that plugs into the wall indoors that instead of leaving it up to catfish people into thinking that I can answer the door if you hit the button on the wall in the doorway, I took it off the wall so that nobody would think the doorbell works, because it doesn't work. It only rings from the button when you press it. The button itself rings. It does not ring from the wall like it should. So I put it on. Initially, it was on the floor. It fell off the wall onto the ground when I stuck it on the wall on the inside of the house. It fell onto the ground. When it first fell, it rung. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll deal with that later. Then the cats walked on it. That was trippy, hearing the doorbell ring indoors. So I put it on the kitchen table. But just now, a few minutes ago, Cookies in the kitchen was walking on the kitchen table and rung the doorbell. And my initial reaction is, who's at the door? And then I remember that it's indoor only. And I'm like, who is inside my house? And then I remember it's a cat. So, yeah. Not sure what to do with it. I'm experiencing Furby rage. I want to bury it in my yard because I feel like it is a demonic possession. That is the best way to describe what I am experiencing right now. First thing I gotta do is blot some of the oil off my forehead. I took a shower, but I don't have a moisturizer to put on after I get out of the shower after washing my face. So my face gets greasy really quickly after I take a shower. The more I wash it, the greasier it'll get, basically. This is the Wet n Wild Green Tea Blotting Sheets. You're a movie star. Much better. Unfortunately, I have run out of the NYX Inky Sticks in Cobalt Click. So I will be using the L'Oreal gel pencil eyeliner instead. I have to be very gentle with it because it's only the tip, and if I break it, it is what I have to work with. So very gentle strokes on the water line. I need to wash dishes, and I need to at least bake brownies, even if I don't make anything for dinner and just have like ramen again or something like that. But it would be ideal if I both baked brownies and cooked dinner. Um, Worst case scenario, I do have frozen pasta that I can thaw and reheat if needed. Okay, so there is one eye lined with the Infallible Pro Last Longwear Eye Pencil. Hello. Um, I'm on a really tight budget lately, so I've been keeping makeup purchases to replacing stuff that I've run out of. Hi, baby girl. You're just off camera. Um, but since it's a product that I use basically every time I do makeup, it should be restocked. Just like mascara needs to be restocked for sanitation reasons. It's being stubborn. Wait, there it goes. I don't know if y'all can tell, but Tiny Mouse is in heat again. I've had so much on my plate, I haven't been able to get any of them back to the vet ever since I got Cookie the eardrops that did not work. Like they worked at first. The first 3 days I was giving it to him, and then after that it slowly stopped working, even though I was still giving them to him twice a day. Um, I find ways to blame myself, like not being perfectly on schedule, but that's never failed on my human infections, so I don't know. Hi, baby boy, I was just talking about you. You want to come up here? Oh, you're playing with the Tinkerbell. Yeah, a little light reflection. He's such a pretty boy. But yeah, even before I stopped giving him the drops, he's been once or twice a day scratching at his ear and screaming. So I will have to return him to the vet for further testing. I still need to replace the ring light for the tripod. I'm gonna do this eye off camera, this eyeliner. This is about as good as I'm gonna get it. So I'm gonna move on to mascara. This is also L'Oreal. This is Voluminous Original in Cobalt. I'm gonna focus on the top lashes for now, because I want to do eyeshadow on the lower lashes. And I need to do the mascara after doing the powder eyeshadow in case of any powder fallout on my lashes. And because I want only one layer of mascara on my lower lash, I'll save that one layer for after I do eyeshadow. If you prefer multiple layers of mascara on your lower lash, feel free to put the first up to the penultimate layer on your lashes before you put on the eyeshadow. And if you plan to do if you plan to do eyeshadow on your upper lid, follow somebody else's tutorial. I can't help you there. I suggest a mascara shield, but I don't even own one of those. I should, but I don't. And you will hear my kitty cats in the background running around. I was about to say running amok. That is not what I meant. They are running around. Running amok is a terminal illness. I'm hoping that the sounds from outside are being picked up by the camera. Hello, baby. I just tried to grab my glasses and grabbed this. This is not my glasses. This is the lid to a fruit cup. You notice how I stuttered at the end of a sentence there? That is not a typical stutter. For those of you not well versed in speech pathology, stutters typically occur at the beginning of a sentence. My stutter happening at the end of a sentence is a TBI characteristic, as opposed to a social anxiety characteristic, which is what I had when I was younger. I had the autistic stutter. Stutter. Like that. Not like in the books or the movies. Stutter. Although that does exist. I had the more common stutter. And I still have it, but now instead of just at the beginning of sentences, it occurs at the end of a sentence as well, ever since my traumatic brain injury. If you're ever wondering exactly what's so significant about a traumatic brain injury, the ability to speak, I had to rebuild from scratch because I had lost it completely. So me being able to talk coherently was a learned skill that I had to develop ever since 2022. Yeah, 2022. When I had my traumatic brain injury, up until y'all saw the beginning of my recovery, because the first few years of a traumatic brain injury is all about just like physical recovery. And then when you reach about 3 years post injury, whatever you have, you're stuck with. And so at the 3-year mark in 2025, it was looking like I was never going to be able to go to college and never going to be able to drive again. And then over the course of the next year, suddenly it's like I had a growth spurt, because what I had regrown physically, I finally found pathways to connect to parts of my brain that previously had been unconnected. And I was explaining to somebody in the comment section today that my social worker got to witness me become conscious for the first time. And my buddy Fury has seen me do it several times, and now I've become more coherent than incoherent when I'm in his groups, or sorry, not his groups, his chats, and his live streams, which is like a huge like character growth arc that he's witnessed. But a year ago, I could only talk about makeup. Literally could not talk about anything else. People would try to engage in conversation with me, and I would change the conversation topic to makeup in an effort to continue the conversation, because that's all I could talk about. Because that's all that people were willing to uh, explain like I'm five. You know? Explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old adult. Have the capabilities of a 5-year-old and the body of an adult. There's so many tutorials on makeup that I kept watching tutorials, and I kept watching Get Ready With Me's. And eventually, I became able to speak with people because of it. Whereas before, I would be like trapped in my body, unable to speak. And so I thought I was just stuck talking about makeup forever. And then I was in the car with my skill building worker, and I was explaining to her about one of the neighbor's plants. It was bamboo. And we pass by it every time we go to a certain location, and take that particular route, which we do often. And I've pointed out that the bamboo is there plenty of times. You know, like, oh, look, a cow. Oh, look, bamboo. Oh, look, a flower. You know, like that. And then one day I was telling her, you know, a lot of people like to use bamboo as a cover crop for hunting and for privacy fencing. And it's because it grows so quickly and it spreads out on its own very quickly. And I explained it to her really well, and then the last line I said about it was, and it's all because they spread through a structure known as rhizomes, which is the same as what ginger, the ginger root, is a rhizome. And she pointed out to me that I was very smart. No qualifiers about it, not like you're smarter than you look or anything like that, like men like to say. And it's like, what do you mean by that? She was like, you know, you're really smart. And I'm like, thank you. I haven't heard that in years. And with that one word, rhizomes, it was like I unlocked an entire section of my vocabulary that previously I could not access. And slowly through practice over time, I have strengthened the ability to talk about science. However, now I'm kind of lacking in conversational skills when it comes to like small talk. You know, it's like the best way I can put it is I'm really good at abnormal psychology, but in order to, if you were to go to college and take a class called Abnormal Psychology 101, the entire first year of the class would be learning normal psychology. I know Abnormal Psychology 102, but I don't know Abnormal Psychology 101. Because I know abnormal stuff like the back of my hand, but normal stuff befuddles me. And I want to learn more about the way normal brains and normal nervous systems function. which I used to be more well versed with when I was younger, before schizophrenia and polyfragmentation. I guess I was always a little bit polyfragmented, but that was a fluke. That wasn't like. We'll unpack that another time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how normal people think. Know everything about how to recognize when somebody has schizophrenia. But normal people, their minds are an enigma to me. I have the Neon palette by Profusion for eyeshadow. Um, I was about to say ChatGPT. I do not use ChatGPT. Gemini suggested pink, yellow, blue. We're going to start with yellow, which is called Sunnies, and place it all over the center of my lower lid. I wish I knew where to find um, a good primer. I want both a primer for, like, this yellow is barely showing up, and it would be more pigmented if I used a primer. And also, I need a primer for my upper lids that get really oily, and therefore I never put eyeshadow up there. I want to learn how to put eyeshadow up there with my anatomy. And unless I get a primer first, there's no point because it's just going to smudge into the crease. So all my hard work will disappear before I'm even done with it. So I need a primer for that. Yeah, I need more on that eye. You see what I mean? It barely shows up. Um, Up next is Seriously, which is the blue. Okay, looking good so far. The pink is called Rad. so confused. Okay, hold on. We're gonna call that good enough. Now I have the Equate Micellar Cleansing Water waterproof. And I'm gonna take a Q-tip. Usually, I'm gross and I use my saliva, but right now, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit vaping nicotine, and therefore I'm using a lot of oral nicotine to help me quit, and my saliva is therefore spicy and not good for my eyeballs. Hold on. Believe it or not, I need less light. Good enough for me. Now we return to the voluminous original in cobalt. You're such a handsome boy, you know that? Need me a boy who watches me do makeup like Cookies watches me do makeup. Cookies does this weird thing where when I'm sitting on the couch, he doesn't cuddle me. And then I get up to do something like do the dishes or laundry, and he immediately starts cuddling me and begging for attention. Okay. You can see this side has mascara on the lower lashes. This does not. So if you're following along this tutorial at home and you'd like this effect better than this effect, feel free to not put blue mascara on your lower lashes. For a second, I thought I got mascara on my pink headscarf, and I was terrified of the ramifications for my laundry routine. It was just a trick of the light. I know where the cat hair comes from. But how does it get here? Just floating through the air? Kind of impressive. Remember circa 2016 when we would be in a rush, so we would do just eye makeup? Because I remember. I am going to take a broken Q-tip and the tip of the mascara where the bulk collects. Look, there's a little hair that got stuck on the Q-tip. I told you there's cat hair in my mascara. So we're gonna remove the hair. Why are you being frustrating? There we go. And we are going to do my eyebrow scar. Well, that barely worked. What just happened? Well, oh. Maybe we are not gonna use mascara to fill in my eyebrow scar. Because apparently mascara has improved since 2016. And therefore only sticks to your hair, not to your skin. Because it's supposed to. What are you doing? I thought so. Out of fear of messing up the L'Oreal gel pencil eyeliner, I'm going to see if the last itty bits of the inky sticks will work. Just barely, but it works. Why is it like that? Okay, that's better. For the blush, I am using Lucky by Rare Beauty, which when I bought it, and probably still to this day, unless you're watching this like 5 years after it was posted or something. But anyway, when I posted this, Lucky only comes in the full size, which if you are my skin color, it will uh, it will last so long you can pass it down to your grandchildren. Not that I'm recommending you do so because it does expire, but that's how much product comes in the full size. And if you like a particular color from the Rare Beauty liquid blush, I highly suggest checking out their minis and seeing if it comes in mini size before you buy the full size. However, if you have that gorgeous skin color that is like, I'm trying to think of a non-food item to compare it to, like the You know those photo shoots of an albino person next to someone with melanism? If you have a skin color close to that of someone with melanism, the full size will benefit you because there's so much product in it, and it is so pigmented that it will actually show up. At least that's what I've heard. I've never tested it, but that's what I've heard. However, their foundation, apparently they did not correctly shade match a single person of, I don't want to say person of color because they all call themselves brown. They've never called themselves person of color that I know of. Anyway, a bunch of brown ladies and black ladies have said that when Rare Beauty reached out to ask them to review their new foundation, they got the shade wrong. So your mileage may vary. I'm working with what was already on the brush the first time. I have not picked up any extra pigment. I'm just blending at this point. I'm blending up towards my eye to cover my dark circles, which for me, my dark circles are yellow. And I'm going to blend it up here. Over my upper lid. So here's after a lot of blending. Well, hold on. So here is after all that blending, and here's before all that blending. Tiny Mouse, I really appreciate you because you're providing the commentary while I'm silent. Yeah, you're doing a great job, baby girl. Yeah, you are. I think if I blend anymore at this point, I'll go insane. If I haven't already. Thank you, Tiny Mouse. You are correcting my posture. Yes, you are correcting my posture, baby girl. Yeah, yeah. You're making sure my back is flat against the couch. Yes, what a good baby. What a good baby. I'm not wearing my glasses. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Oh, I look so cute. Whiny little baby. Whiny little baby. Mm. 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 What was that boof for? Boof. Mm-mm. Good yawn. What, baby? Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna cuddle her until she gets bored and walks off. I look absolutely stellar on camera. I don't know what I was tripping about in the mirror. Besides body dysmorphia. Do I have makeup dysmorphia? I have the Hard Candy Grip On Lock Setting Spray in Major Hydration, Dewy Hydrated Finish. I have been told, I watched a video, watched somebody else's content, and the pretty lady said that if you put your highlighter powder on before you put on, what do you call it? Setting spray, it'll look chalky, and if you put the layer of setting spray down before the highlighter powder, it'll look better. I forget what wording she used, but yes, that is the idea. I hope I look adorable and not Neanderthalic when I hold things this close to see. Alright, now we gotta wait for that to dry. I have Aurora Glaze. Can you read that? From Wet n Wild, Chameleon Chrome. And Moda Highlight and Glow BMD265. If it looks like I'm having an acid trip right now, I feel like I am. I drink too much coffee. I have this bad habit of cutting back, and then the next time I have a day where I'm more tired than usual, drinking way too much. There's this very cyclical nature to my caffeine intake. And if you're wondering how the hell does caffeine make you feel like you're on acid, I have schizophrenia. And it's triggered by my bipolar. And bipolar gets triggered by caffeine. schizophrenia on its own can be triggered by caffeine, but in my case, my bipolar is what's triggered by my caffeine. Yay. Sorry. Uh, uh. This is gonna be fun to watch back. uh, I was telling my friends um, before my most recent pharmacology appointment. By pharmacology, I mean psychiatry. However, the person prescribing me medication does not have her own PhD. Not sure how that works. Anyway, why is there cat hair everywhere? Why is it with every setting spray I use, I get cat hair on my nose and it makes it itchier than normal? What was I saying? Oh yeah, at my last prescription appointment, as in the appointment where we manage my prescriptions, I went in not quite knowing what the outcome would be, like basically at all. Besides that, we were going to add another medication, or I was going to have to find a specialist because I I know pharmacology for schizophrenia. I know pharmacology for depression. I know pharmacology for bipolar. I kind of know pharmacology for anxiety. But I don't know pharmacology for Tourette's syndrome. That is what I am most unfamiliar with. And since we reduced how much Lybalvi I take in order for me to be able to wake up more readily and stay awake more of the day, because I was sleeping 12 or more hours a day. Uh, and of course, we increased my Wellbutrin as well before we reduced the Lybalvi. So both of those changes result in more Tourette's tics, more severe Tourette's in general. Both frequency and severity of tics have increased for me. No two people with Tourette's are exactly the same. Anyway, I have moderate to severe Tourette's that is managed well with medication, as opposed to moderate to severe Tourette's that is not managed well with medication, which exists. But mine is managed well with medication. So to reduce the Lybalvi, we have to add another medication that treats the Tourette's alone. And so I was telling my friends, I know pharmacology for schizophrenia, I know pharmacology for bipolar, but I don't know pharmacology for Tourette's. And one of my friends was like, you know pharmacology for bipolar and schizophrenia? You haven't been to college. And I'm like, damn, you're right. I do kind of fucking know a lot for someone who fucking was it, a fucking hood rat. To put it politely, I was a hood rat. There are worse words for what I was. um, but yeah, we are adding something that I looked at and immediately forgot how to pronounce, and I've been calling in my head Guadalupe. Let me look it up real quick. Guanfacine ER 2 milligram tablet. Megagram? What is a mega? I'm not repeating that on camera. One of my alters made a very distasteful joke, and if you're wondering, yes. It was about slurs. It's about 2 slurs in particular. I can say neither of them. He can say one of them, which is why I'm a little judging him right now for saying the other one. I didn't put on a lip stain yet, and I think that is it over there. Over there. So as I was saying before, my Tourette's and my alter teamed up to invent a way to offend 2 different demographics at the same time. I'm prescribed 2 milligrams of extended release guafacine. Guafacine. Let me Google how to pronounce it. YouTube Julian 4 years ago posted this video. I'm gonna put on Sparkly Killer Bunny while he talks.
We are looking at how to pronounce this name, as well as how to say more interesting and often mispronounced and confusing medical terms too, so make sure to stay tuned and consider subscribing for more learning. How do you say it? Guanfacine. Guanfacine, sold under the brand name Intuitive Guanfacine. And now you know. Here are more videos on how to pronounce more interesting names whose pronunciations aren't always obvious, so I'll see you there to learn more. Thanks for watching.
You're terrifying me right now, kitten. She jumped up on the couch over my foot, and a little tiny wet raindrop fell on my foot. And I don't think it came from your mouth. And I'm like, yeah. So I noticed when I wear Sparkly Killer Bunny, it looks best after it's been worn off some. It looks more cool toned after it's been worn off. So I'm going to apply it and then remove the top layer, even though the instruction says not to. Your jumping pad is clear. You may jump anytime you want. What is going on? What the fuck? Why did my notification bar go down? I'll reveal. I'll look back at the tape later. I have no idea what just happened. Let me put this down before I spill it. I don't know what just happened there. Was that my Tourette's? They did an excellent job, whatever it was. If my lips look dry, it's because they are. So not the best application in the world, but oh well. I'm gonna let this dry down. Hi, I'm back with paper towels and a mug of water. Yes, this is how I hold mugs. One time this word I won't say on YouTube at rehab mansplained to me how to hold a mug. I did not have the language capabilities at the time to explain to her that my body is built different. Not only do I have dyspraxia for my autism, in this hand, I don't know if you can tell, you know, you see how this is square and this is sloped? Yes, yes, to match the eyebrow scar, I have a boxer's fracture. That never got set correctly. So now, to prevent myself from dropping mugs, I hold them like this. And she thought, oh no, you're gonna drop it. So she pulled it out of my hand, repositioned my hand, and put it back in my hand like this, before I could say anything. Yeah, that lives rent free in my mind. Okay, I have a wet paper towel. And so I was gonna mention, if you want your lips to look good, tilt your head back. Like, especially your upper lip, if you want it to look fuller, tilt your head back. However, if you're being photographed for a wedding, you don't want them to be looking up your nostrils. So take that as you will. I did not know I was posing wrong in photos the entire time until I was at my wedding and somebody told me, we can see up your nostrils. And I'm like, damn, you're right. I didn't consider that angle. So I'm gonna start by doing half my lips. You know what? To save time, I'll do it off camera. Weird. I thought that would work, but it just removed it. Well, I don't want it to be asymmetrical. But yeah. Maybe it's a tad bit more cool toned, but it doesn't do what I've been seeing it do after wearing it for hours and hours. Maybe I just had to let it sit longer. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, where'd that lipstick go? Here it is. So that was Sushi Glow Cosmetics in Sparkly Killer Bunny, and this is Milani in Voyeur. What are you doing? He's asleep. See, that's more my color. More cool toned. You woke him. He just woke up from a dead sleep and pounced on her. I don't know if they ever actually do the deed or if they just do foreplay. I'm pretty sure they just do foreplay. He's neutered anyway, so I'm not worried. But yep, yep. See what I mean? Nothing happened. He just teases her, and then she runs off to satisfy herself. I am skipping Libolvi for tonight so that I can stay up doing dishes. I'm going to take my Compressate, my Lexapro, and acetaminophen, which is labeled as ibuprofen in the app because I'm lazy. She's playing with catnip. A bunch of stems. I put them there. I'm gonna use another layer of the hard candy setting spray. Right. No, I gotta let it dry. I'm trying to think of the politest way to explain to my aunt why it is that I spend so many nights awake on purpose. It's not that I lay down to sleep, cannot, and then get up because I tried and could not. It's because if I go to sleep and I successfully sleep. Are you her? Look at her. Are you flirting with yourself? Just making noises at herself in the mirror like I do. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, anytime I successfully sleep, I dream. And anytime I dream, I have the same nightmare every night. And the nights I stay up are the nights either I have so many chores to do that the best way to do it is to stay up, or it's because that was one of the nights I was not willing to have a nightmare and therefore chose no sleep at all to prevent the nightmare from happening. And that may sound super unhealthy until you realize that in 2020, I would go weeks without sleep. So I think that harm reduction would say that me only going 36 hours without sleep at a time is a huge improvement compared to when I would go 3 weeks without any proper sleep. I would get micro sleeps, and then I would go to sleep for 3 hours and get back up and go another 3 weeks without laying down. I'm sorry, I took your mirror. There you go. She has the loudest tongue of any cat I've ever owned. I have blotted again to get rid of the glycerin. I think that's it for this makeup look. I don't know. Is this collar wide enough I can get away with? Where's my collarbone? Do I have a collarbone? What? Oh, here it is. What? What? Hey. What? Hey. What? What's going on? I'm gonna ask a doctor why my collarbone is asymmetrical. Um, and I'm going to try not to have OCD about it. Alright, I will see y'all in the next one. Love you. Bye.